it's Lexi, and welcome back to another episode of The 20 Effect. I'm so happy that you're here because today I have a very special guest. This woman has been just such an amazing mentor to not only me, but so many just college athletes and so many people in their 20s. And so please help me welcome Kelly Schmidt to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, so Kelly and I met through GCU. She is actually the chaplain for the dance team. And then remind me what other sports you work with.
Yeah, so I work with Fellowship of Christian Athletes, so I get to chaplain a few teams at GCU, one of them being dance for years. I've been involved with softball, some volleyball, some soccer in the past. Really whatever teams and coaches just need a little extra help on that side. And then we do an all-group male and athlete co-ed thing all together on Wednesday nights as well. So work a little bit with both male and female athletes, but on the female side, obviously, some more one-on-one discipleship time and individual team stuff as well. So
cool. And remind me, how long have you been with FCA?
Yes, I think it's right at 13 years right now.
Wow,
so,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Ever since, and from the beginning, it has been able to be a part of the dance team, which has been really cool to see it grow as well.
Yeah, that's so cool because GK's been there. This is her 14th season.
Yeah.
So you've literally been there from the beginning.
Yeah, it has. It's crazy.
And I'm sure getting to watch it grow has been like really cool too.
Yeah, it's been so cool. The alumni, the crew, the different coaches through the years.
Yeah.
So no, it's been neat. It's been a blessing to be able to watch it grow and be a part of it.
Yeah, no, I love that. Do you kind of want to tell people listening a little bit more about you, like where you're from, where you went to school, everything like that?
I am born and raised here in Phoenix, in Glendale, Arizona is where I grew up. I went to Ironwood High School, and then I went and played basketball in Southern California at Vanguard University, played there 4 years, and then ended up staying out there coaching a little bit, and then got into ministry after that, back here in Phoenix, moved home. My sister-in-law was working at our church here, and so I ended up doing a residency with her and our local church here, and then weird little twist, but then got into the coffee business, into roasting and like
I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's
small
so
business
cool.
world of things. Went back to California for that.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So it was a cool little piece of that, and then. Really felt the Lord call me back to Arizona. Didn't necessarily know why. And when I came back, FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, I didn't even know was a job that you could do it as a full-time career. And so just, again, ran into the state director at that time, didn't know I'd moved home. And then the rest is history. 13 years later, I've been on staff now, but yes, a lot of that, that was all obviously all in my kind of 20s and kind of a lot of what you guys are focusing in here and navigating where to go and when. And again, I've moved a couple times in there, a couple different roles and positions that were very different from each other too. And so, so that's just a quick background on me. Definitely, obviously working with FCA, still involved with sports and athletics. It was a huge part of my life growing up, volleyball and basketball player. And so get to do that with, I'm a believer and love Jesus. So it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, so cool. I love how you talked about all of that. And then I love how you kind of mentioned a little bit about what we're talking about today, where you were just kind of navigating life in your 20s. I think that's a big thing and a big purpose behind this podcast. But two, just like that point in your life where you felt this calling to come back to Arizona. I had wanted to talk about purpose for a while, and it wasn't the original topic that I wanted to bring Kelly on for, but after just like praying about it and thinking about it, I felt like she was the perfect person. And I think why was because when you had come to do chapel one day during practice, you had mentioned about after graduating from college and being done with college basketball, you were kind of at these crossroads of what to do next and whether to go play professionally or to pursue coaching. And I think that's something that so many people in their 20s deal with. So many of like the dancers and just like athletes that I know in my life are dealing with, something that I dealt with for a really long time and I'm still working through. Do you kind of just want to talk about that and like that part of your life?
Yeah. And I remember, so my senior year of college, being successful, playing obviously a sport in there and having the opportunity, which is awesome, to be able to go play overseas and professionally at that time. But then at the same time having the opportunity to come back and coach there as well. And so I remember just really struggling with it, which obviously a lot of you are out there with different decisions and making decisions. And it seems like life altering things, right?
Yes.
Where you're like, there has to be a right and a wrong. And I'm a high achiever. And I always just kind of want to do the best at what I do and also just succeed, right? So there's a lot of things which made me successful in sports and athletics for sure. But then also wanting to make the right decision in this moment, which is a very big, you're on kind of tracks for a while of like society of like, you're like, okay, high school and then college for most people, or else going into a profession or military or something like that, where you're on these kind of set tracks. And then you get to a point where it's like, okay, the set tracks are kind of like coming to an end now. And now you're like super scary. Like, what do I do? Where, how, all these things. And so for me, it was really two options. Now I would say there's probably way more options for you guys as well.
Absolutely,
like coming out of college.
I would agree.
For me, it was only two choices and it was still very overwhelming. So for me, I remember really struggling with it, thinking that there's got to be one right answer. And if I pick the wrong one, like my life is over, is what it felt like.
For sure.
Looking back now, I just kind of laugh at myself and I'll explain why. But I remember sitting down just with a group of our friends our senior year. Luckily, we were in Newport Beach, so we were probably, I think, on the beach by a bonfire, which makes everything nicer.
Yeah, so much better.
But we were sitting there, and I remember one of our friends, he was just like, we were talking about what we're doing next or next year, options for everybody. And everybody's kind of in the same things. And then I was explaining my options and he was like, what? He just posed the question and he said, what if neither one is wrong?
Ooh.
And I was like, it stopped me because I said, I was really like, there has to be a right and a wrong here. Always yes or no, black and white, which way to go. And I didn't have an answer to that question at the time, but it's funny that I can reflect on it years later and I remember that question. Because if you would have told me, graduating from Vanguard University, just playing sports my whole life, I was burnt out. I was tired. I was just ready to be done playing and all the things that came with it. And if you would have told me in that moment that I was going to end up working for Fellowship of Christian Athletes, I would have not been happy.
Really?
Which is crazy. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So if you come back to that moment then, and I'm like, okay, I can see now being where I am now and finally like getting to a point where it's like, man, this is what I'm going to be doing for a while, or this is my career. And just being so excited that like kind of found it, after so long. But I look back now that I've got to FCA, which is now what I've been with for 13 years. And I look back at it and I'm like, gosh, like I could have done either. And it would have prepared me for what I am doing now.
Yeah.
So I could have played professionally overseas, been a professional athlete, awesome, done a lot of great things. But I chose and I stayed and I coached and I stayed at Vanguard University and got to learn a whole different side of athletics. Obviously what I do now, working with you guys and coaches and understanding the pressures and things on that side of it, clearly have helped me have a different mindset coming into the job and career that I have now. I am a believer. Yeah. And so for me, the 20s is an imperative time for young people. Yeah. I believe that everything happens for a reason, and Romans 8:28 gets thrown around a lot, right? Where it says, "For all those that love He works all things together for those that love the Lord." Yeah. And so, in the context of what that scripture is talking about in Romans, either one that I would have chosen, I truly believe now, seeing what I'm doing now years later, he would have used either of those choices that I would have made and worked it together for the good of what I'm doing now, for what he had me doing in the future. I didn't know it then. Yes. Yeah. And it's something that, we can get into purpose a little bit too and different things, but I could just pause there on that part of the story of just where, again, two choices, really feeling like there's a yes or a wrong, like yes or no, or if like one, it's going to really screw me up for a while.
Yeah.
And then that question, I remembered years later of that guy that just was like, what if neither one is the wrong choice? I was like, what do you mean? There has to be.
It's black and white.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then coming back and seeing like years later what the Lord had done through that, and that truly either one of those, because they were both kind of similar time frames, like a year to 2 years I'd been doing it.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the next thing. And so it's really weird how both of those would have really just helped me in what I ended up at.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
No, I love that. I think it's so like powerful to hear I remember I had a mentor in college that I was considering after graduating working for.
Yeah.
And I remember just like freaking out in his office being like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
And I remember him telling me kind of a similar thing of like, Lexi, if you make a decision, it's not the end all be all. Like if you choose to go and do this, it is not the end of the world. Even if it feels like the wrong answer, it's like what God's plan is for you and what path you're supposed to take. Yeah. And he's like, and you can always turn around. Yeah. Like if you feel like it's wrong, you can always turn around. And so I think that's really powerful to hear of that you could have chosen either and it still would have brought you back to what you're doing now. Yep. And I think it's encouraging to hear for people in their 20s of like the decisions that we're having to make right now feel like the end of the world and feel like end all be all, or I have to, if I choose this, I have to do it for the rest of my life. And I think that's just like not the case. Yep. And there's a lot of different routes we can go and a lot of different places we can go, but we will probably end up where we're supposed to at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I think that there is something, just even there's that phrase of, again, you can be frozen in fear, right? Where there's been a couple lives where I've actually been like physically frozen in fear in a couple situations that I was in. And I had never understood that saying until I was like in those things. I was like, I literally can't move right now. And I think Satan loves to make us fearful of things, right? And so if you think about that then in the making decisions department, right? There's too many decisions for us now. Yeah. There's like literally so many that I think that's one of the tactics that is used against us of we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that like one decision is the wrong. And then if I make the wrong one, my world's over. And God, that's not the way God works. Yeah. And he cares for us and we are not called to be fearful of anything. And so, if we are fearful, if we have so many decisions and we can be so fearful of making the wrong decision, we make no decisions. Yeah. And that's I think that's worse than like just not making one that maybe there's probably a wiser decision maybe here or there. Yeah. But like Satan, I believe, loves nothing else to get people stuck in a place and make no decision and just be fearful. So there's processes for sure I had to learn how to grow. It's like, how do you make decisions? And there's scary things and you don't always know the full, like what's going to happen. Yeah. But that's where your faith grows. And that's why I think the 20s are so important for everybody. Because you can have all the head knowledge. You could study things. You could read things that you're supposed to know. People can tell you what you're supposed to, these things. And you're like, yeah, I know it. But until you go through the fire and until you face hard things and you have to pay the bills and you have to become an adult and there's great things that come with it, but there's also the struggles and realities of just life and the struggles of just like, it's not always fun. Yeah. And especially when you're younger, you usually don't start out as the CEO of a company and you got to start low. And the thought of it's okay and learning to wait and work hard and not be noticed for a time is just not fun. Yeah. And so that's a part of the struggle in those 20s as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You made a really good point about the like no decision. It's easier to be in I'm just not going to make any decision because that's easiest. And it kind of goes along of what I wanted to like talk about with part of my story in my life is when I was in college, I remember I was so scared to figure out and find what my purpose was because I was just coasting and kind of towing that line of like, okay, God and I are good, but I'm still going to live my life and I'm still going to do these things that I know I probably shouldn't, but it's college. I'm going to do it. Yeah. And being in that like comfortable state, like the fact, and it's like sad to admit, but the fact that I was like so scared of finding my purpose because I knew at some point I was going to have to make a choice. Yeah. Now being on the other side of it, I'm like, I wish I would have just made that decision sooner. But I think, the enemy uses that. Like it's comfortable to be in a spot where I'm like, I don't want to make a decision because making a decision is hard. So I'm just not going to. And I'm just, cause this is comfortable here.
And you can use, there's lots of things that then we can use to justify that. Of like, well, I'm not really sure. Yeah. Or it's not God's just like, blown up a sign and, in the sky and these things. And like, we can easily, if we want to, justify those things of just staying comfortable and staying where you're at because it is scary. It's the unknown of things that is scary and it's hard. And what if, you have big dreams and you're like, what if I don't achieve those things? Like what will happen? And
absolutely. So
there's all sorts of those things that go into it, but it's one small decision at a time and taking the step and having faith that Psalms 119, 105 is the perfect verse for that, where it says that your word is a lamp unto my path and a light unto my feet. And just again, the trust of like, it says that it's a lamp unto my feet, I think is how I phrased it. But if you believe that, and you are a believer and I'm a believer, and that's one of the things that like deepened in my 20s, that I grew up a Christian, but similar, like high school, kind of college-ish, like I'm a believer and I believe that Jesus is who he says he is, but was my life always reflecting that in every way? Probably not. Yeah. And living that line, right? Where, and I'm like, okay, like, man, when you do get out of college then too, you're like, and life isn't just as easy. Yeah. There's choices then. And you're like, okay, I know the right choice and what I probably should do, but it's not as easy as this way. And the way that's probably not what I know I should be doing, but that way is easier. And so there's this, so Psalm 119, 105, especially when you're like, I don't know what's past this next step, but I love it because it brings it down to the visual of like your word. So the word of God, my Bible, is a lamp to my feet. And so I'm going to trust the Lord and lean into his word that will guide me. I have to trust that it's going to be a lamp unto my feet. It's not a lamp up high that will illuminate the whole room and 10 steps down the road. Yeah. But it will illuminate the next step. Yeah. And then what I have to do in that like fear piece of it, I could just stay here and be like, I can't see anything else around me, so I'm just going to chill here. Yeah. Or trust that I'm just going to trust the next step, just one small decision. And then I'm going to trust that next step will then illuminate my next step. So if we go back to what I was talking about, my decision coming out of college, I can see now, like, all the steps that came from there of like, wow, that makes so much sense now and it didn't then.
For sure.
Even to like how I told you, like graduating from Vanguard, if you would have told me I was going to work for FCA 10 steps down the road, I would not have been happy. Like I would have been kind of pissed. Once I got there, I was like, this is awesome. I love this, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to even know what the Lord had for me because I wasn't mature enough yet. I had things that I thought I wanted that even when I got them, I realized I didn't want them. He had to do a work in me and stretch me and grow me and grow my work ethic and just a lot of different things that I needed to work out in myself before I got to where God like was calling me. Yeah. Absolutely. So even that Psalm 119, 105, really, especially as you get to live life, that's why it's great getting older. I tell people getting older, it's awesome because you get so much more secure in yourself, confident in yourself because of the Lord. You get more confident and your faith grows. Yeah. And so when the next time you have a major decision, like it's a little bit easier the next big decision because you're like, I saw him come through the last one. And then the couple more down, your faith grows because I'm like, I've seen him come through at that time and that time and that time. And it like stacks on top of each other. Yeah. And now I'm at a point where it's like God can, like, wherever and whatever, like, it's just, there's freedom and peace that like, just having faith and trust, only the Lord can provide those things. And I think we're all looking for that and seeking that.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's, the 20s can be a rough time.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, because I'm kind of at a crossroads a little bit right now. I'm graduating soon and really just trying to figure out, okay, like, where do I move next? Where do I go next? Like, what is in store for me? And I feel so much more equipped now than I was when I was freshly out of college. Like, I'm still a little bit of a mess sometimes because it's going to be very hard to leave everything that I've built here the past 2 years. But I was much more of a wreck my senior year of college. And I think a lot of that had to do with I wasn't fully following the Lord. And then also just I didn't have the tools that I have now. So I think I'm just like better prepared to make certain decisions and make the choices that I need to make, and the opportunities that come my way really determine whether I want that or not. But yeah, it's cool that you bring that up. But I do want to talk about purpose. That's kind of like the topic that we're talking about today. But when did you feel like you discovered your purpose?
I would say it's a continual journey.
I like that.
And that's the tough thing about that question. And it's funny because at GCU, there's the tagline everywhere that it says, find your purpose. And in the room we meet in FCA out on Wednesday nights, it's like plastered there. Yeah. So I've seen it a lot over the years. And so I don't think I have a specific, this is when I found it, but I'm going to probably flip it a little bit on you.
Okay.
That I wish I probably would have known this. And I might have said I knew this back in college or like in your kind of time frame, is that you already know your purpose. And it's going to go back to and I'll say this, and if you are a believer in Jesus, you know your purpose. Yeah. That no matter where you go, where the Lord place you, what job or role that you play, when you get married and have kids and a season of life changes, and everything you thought you used to want and desire is not the desires of your heart anymore, because you become more and more like Christ and you desire the things that he wants, things change drastically. And your purpose, no matter what job or role you're in, or I literally tell people all the time, I'm like, I could not be in vocational ministry anymore. Like I could leave tomorrow, go Lake Pleasant, be a captain on a boat. And I would have the same mindset now than I do going into today, to where I'm called to serve the kingdom of God. And so whatever happens today, I am seeking the Lord and I am on purpose for his kingdom. And it can be, the smallest thing of having a conversation with somebody at the grocery store, to getting a flat tire and being ticked that it threw off my whole schedule the whole day, but then he brings somebody else along that side that just needed to have a conversation. That my whole mindset and just in thought of purpose is just made me laugh once I realized it, I think. Where I was I've always had my purpose and I've always known it. Now that throws it off because and this is why I was I didn't tell you that was going to be my answer before this podcast. So she might be scratch this. But the reason I say that, and I kind of laugh at it once I kind of, even in the last couple of years and seeing that everywhere at GCU, sorry, GCU. But if you are a believer, you step into your purpose of no matter where I go or how I go, I just know and trust that today I'm going to work at everything that I have with all my heart, soul, strength, and mind for the Lord. And it's about his kingdom. And I'm going to trust that, Psalm 119, 105 says, just today, I'm going to show up. I'm giving my best. And then I'm going to walk through the open door tomorrow and take that next step and trust that next one is going to lead to the next one. And so I say this in that if you are not a believer and you don't believe in Jesus, okay, that obviously changes everything because we know our purpose.
Yeah.
You'll grow more and more into your purpose and more confident as you walk with the Lord. If you aren't, I would say you have to start. So I believe your purpose is what like your goal for life is. Like you need to figure out like, what type of person do I want to be?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of life do I want to live? Like, do I like want to strive? Like, is it work for me? Is it, I want to have a family and like grow and multiply in that way too, which you can do both of them and all the things. But like, what is your purpose of life? I think is what purpose is.
Yeah.
And so if you have the purpose of life, we can't get caught up on profession and we can't get caught up on role, because I'm telling you that like everything that like you plan in your like early 20s is usually not what life ends up as. Yeah. And it's okay to have, this is the thing too, it's okay to have goals and dreams and like these things that I believe that is innate within us. But I caution people with that I'm like, okay, that's great to have goals and dreams. Did you create those on your own and then like insert God into them?
That's good. Yeah.
Or did I allow like the Lord to direct my dreams and my goals and my path? Like, and so it's kind of that dynamic of, there were a lot of dreams that I just made because I was like, yeah, like that'd be fun and great. And I think we're all desired to be great and to make a difference in this world.
For sure.
And I think that we just have it's the 20s, and where it goes wrong a lot is like false expectations of what that's going to look like, which then we can go into comparison and social media. And we think like, oh, they're already here, and here. Am I so far behind? And I think most of it is that we're comparing ourselves to other people. And I feel like I'm a failure or I'm not as far. And so I feel bad about myself. And then like the 20s suck. And like, I'm never going to like, I'm so far behind, but like, we can't compare to other people because we're all on our own journey and our own path. And again, if you aren't a believer, I'd encourage you to find Jesus first and foremost, because I'm telling you that you will not find the peace and love and joy in your life. I don't know how I'd live my life without that. Yeah. And so if you aren't, like, find out what your purpose in life is, because that is like the end goal, right? For sure. And then that's like the journey and process of it. And then if you are a believer in Jesus Christ, you know your purpose. It's to serve the kingdom of God first and foremost with everything. And I'm telling you that the sooner that you can figure that out, like we're just naturally at the center of our own world, our planets. For like, sure. We just think about ourselves 24/7, which is like, cause you have to survive and all these things. But like the more and more that you can just remind yourself less about me, more about him and his kingdom and others, it brings so much fulfillment in other areas that you never knew. A scary prayer to pray, because you have to be prepared that he'll answer it, is like, Lord, if the desires of my heart are not in line with your will, would you change my desires? Yeah. And some people really struggle with that, because they're like, well, what about what I want? And what about and I'm like, how do you fully know like what you want? You didn't create yourself. Who did? The creator. God created you for reason and for purpose. And you don't even know yourself as well as he does, because he created you. So he is the only one that can tell you what you were created for here on this planet. Yeah. And so the more you can lean into him and trust him, and I'm not going to say it's easy. Nowhere in scripture does it say it's easy. Yeah. It's really hard. You'll find yourself crying. And I remember just like crying in my closet, because the only place I could be like alone, you know what I mean? And not be like, oh, what's wrong? And she's falling apart. But like, there's just hard, like my Bible that I have, like it's one of my most valuable, it's probably my most valuable possession, because I've had it since college. So I can open it to places where, you know, like, when I moved back to Arizona with no idea, I just knew that the Lord had called me back. Yeah. I didn't have a job coming back. And I was like, all the things in my plan were working. Yeah. Like in the coffee world and the small business world. And he's like, my plan was succeeding. But I was miserable. And I was like, why? And I'm so stubborn that I'm like, so like, I can't quit. I got to do this.
Yep.
All the things I want is happening. So I could have also justified that, like, well, the doors are opening because I'm working really hard. And then I got offered the dream job that never gets offered. And when the offer came to me, I literally, my insides, like, I wasn't pumped. I wasn't excited. I was literally like, I got sick to my stomach. And there's times for me where that's where the Lord speaks to me when I'm not, when he just keeps smacking me and I don't listen. I like physically, like, I'm like, oh crap. This is not it. This is not where I'm supposed to be, because there's not a joy of the Lord that's coming from this question. And so the Lord that's how the Lord spoke to me then. I moved home and I was like, this is like, I was mad. I was mad at God that I was moving home, because I was living in California on the beach. I was surfing in the morning and then going to work and friends and all the things that you're like, this is what life's supposed to be, right? And then it was all about me and my goals and what I wanted. And I realized that I forgot to include God in on those, right? I was still going to church. I was still doing these things, but I had a great friend, which this is important for people, is to find people that will speak truth into you. And I had a friend that just sat me down and was like, what is going on with you? Like, you're not yourself. Like, your natural joy, these different things. Like, she knew me enough to see that there was something wrong. And she's like, I think you need to move home. And I was like, I was mad at her. I was like, why are you telling me to leave?
Like, no.
And I was like, I think you're right, but man, like, this is hard. And I think that people are, as a follower of Jesus, I think that we all get to a point where we have to, like, make a major jump. And a leap of faith is that phrase comes from. And I believe that every believer will really have a major, at least one in your life where you're like, I have no idea what's going to happen, but here we go. And
absolutely.
That was for me moving back to Arizona. And then I moved back, and then, a couple months later, I'm working for FCA, and I've been there for 13 years, and I would never imagined it. And so there's just those things of, it's hard. You have to learn how to wait. Nobody likes to wait. And then, in my Bible, I can see places, and I remember, like, moving back in just certain spots where there's, like, tears on the page, but it's, like, such a great reminder now for me of looking back and, like, even when I don't know what's going on and I feel lost and I'm waiting and I'm really frustrated and God, I'll move anywhere, go anywhere. And you're not telling me. It's like a just wait. And that's what I think I had to learn. The biggest thing I learned was waiting. In my 20s.
I've been
being patient.
For sure. I've been kind of talking about this thing, and I'll probably keep talking about it, but it's like you're swinging on a rope and there's no other rope in sight, but it's like, at what point do you let go of the rope that you're holding on to, trusting and having faith that, like, another one's going to appear. And I think that's such a hard place to be in. I saw something yesterday of, like, jump and just hope and pray that the net is going to, like, be there and just trust that the net is going to be there. And I think that's something that a lot of people in their 20s deal with, of they like, well, God, can I at least, like, see the rope? Can I at least, like, get a heads up that, like, the rope's coming or the net's going to be there to catch me? And I think that's, like, what you said faith is at some point, like, we can't be holding on to two ropes at once. Like, we have to let go of this one to, like, grab onto that one. And I think it goes back to what you talked about of, like, sitting in the making no decision zone and finally making that decision. But that's something that I've been praying of. I remember it was a couple weeks ago, and I was telling Peyton about it, of I just literally, like, shouted out all the desires of my own heart to God, and then said, and I was terrified when I prayed this prayer, but I was like, God, if any of these things do not line up with your plan for me and what you have designed for me, please remove them from my heart, because even though there's something that I really want, if it's not your plan, then I don't actually want it. And I think just experiences in my life of, like, I wasn't supposed to go to Boise State. Like, that wasn't in the cards for me. Like, that literally happened on a whim. And I probably wasn't supposed to make the dance team. Like, that was something that kind of happened on a whim too, and was, like, just God providing. I wasn't supposed to go to GCU. Like, there were things in my life. I feel like everything that's been so sweet and joyful in my life and has like produced fruit has been something that has come completely out of left field that I like wasn't even expecting. But I guess kind of going off that, a question that I have for you is like, what's something that was maybe a desire on your heart, that you ended up having to like, not put aside, but I guess release in a way, because it might not be in like God's plan for you.
Yeah. That's a great question. I mean, there's many that have changed over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, one of those is that I like loved California. I loved living in Southern California.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, Newport is a great place to be.
And I was there for 7 years of my life, and it's a different world, Orange County, and there's a lot of money and wealth and different things that go along with it that just like it's crazy how much like now that the Lord's moved me away from there, and again like friends that were great, like deep friendships and things and great churches and different stuff. But like the Lord, once he moved me out, like it is crazy how he does those things of changing your desires of things, where I'm like, I needed to grow in my faith and even go deeper, and even the types of friends and different relationships and different things that I had in my life. I'm like, man, I grew so much more leaving some of those things behind. And I needed to release some things that I loved, but just were like, there's seasons of life where the Lord's like, hey, this is good for a time. And then when it's time to let it go or let them go, you need to let them go. Yeah. And I would hang on too long. And definitely I'm a loyal person, which you could justify that, all those things. But like just being okay with like, all right, different season, different people, time to reinvest in different things. And it's hard to let people and things go in a lifestyle in my mind. And I look back now and I'm like, I have no desire at all to be there. Like, it's crazy. Like, and it's just where I wanted to be. And it's like all these things. And I'm like, God, thank you so much for knowing what I needed to grow over it. Even just like since COVID in 2020, there's a lot of things you know it in COVID, and if you're a believer, you knew that like, okay, this is a crazy couple years. Yeah. But like, I know that there will be good out of it. And I know that there's going to be a reason for it. And I'm seeing it in lots of areas. I believe in this next generation coming up of the kid that grew up in that are deeper into the word of God I've ever seen before. Yeah. And they want to know why they believe what they believe, and they want to be vocal about it, and they want to stand up firmly and confidently and not back down of truth in a loving way. And I've never seen that with my generation. I'm like, gosh, I wish I was growing up in this one.
For sure.
In some ways. But so I would say like, even that of like, I would have loved back then to be like, yeah, I'm going to stay in Southern California and be there. And then even I just love that I was able to come back, love that like my family's here. And like, that was never like we were a tight family, but it's not like we all have to live close to each other. And then it's crazy how the Lord just worked it out to where we all ended up years and years later, all still like next to each other, and just the sweetness of that. I mean, I would say even too, I probably thought I would have been married by like 30, you know what I mean? And so that too. And so that's even a process of like just trusting God in that. Like that's probably one of the biggest ones for females, at least. Like I don't know, sure. There's a couple guys that are rare that are like that's their main thing, but I don't care who you are, what female you are. Like that's a desire that the Lord places there to be married and have a family. And so even that, trusting that process of he's a good father. Yeah. And he wants good things for his daughters. And no matter what time frame that is, we need to be, when it's easy to get focused on like that and be like, I've got to make this happen. Or maybe what am I doing wrong that I need to like adjust or go here more or do these things. Yeah. And like be the controller of I'm going to control and find that and find him, you know, now it goes back to that same purpose of like, man, I'm going to run after the Lord because I hope and pray that whoever that man is, that he is running after the Lord and he's growing and maturing. And I'm like, gosh, like I am such a different person now than I was years ago. And
Yeah.
I'm like, how immature I was and emotionally, like not responding well. I'm such a better person now for everybody, including like my future husband now, that I'm like, all right, God, like I literally trust you with everything else. Why would I not trust you in this?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a thing that you have to, Romans 12:2 talks about renewing your mind in that, because it is so easy to slip back and just
For sure.
like, well, this sucks. Like, and get into a bad mental, and I think it matters about the people you're around and what they're speaking into, what they care about, that really, like your identity and who you are in Christ, like it comes back to that. And it's still not easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So those two would probably be the things of one that I can already see the fruit from of why I moved.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then one still that I'm like, all right, God,
yeah.
still waiting on that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So those two are just a couple of things.
Yeah. No, I love that. What is some advice you would give to like stay focused on your purpose, stay focused on like just talking to God? Like these are the desires of my heart, especially when there's people around us that are getting married, are having kids, are like doing and achieving things that I'm like, God, when's my time? And just trying not to get frustrated in that or getting frustrated and like expressing that to God. So what advice would you give to like kind of try to stay focused on, on your journey and your path?
Yeah. So I think that, your daily relationship with the Lord, you need to, it's easier when my relationship with the Lord is going well.
Yeah.
Like as far as like, I'm like, if I'm like reading in the morning, I'm getting up in time, I'm praying through things, I'm being led by the Spirit in these things. I'm asking for like him to like help me with my patience and different things or with people. And if I like, and what's crazy about that is that I work in ministry in FCA. So, I still can get like, it's been a couple days since like, things get busy. So I didn't get up early enough to get into my word this morning. And then everything else in my life seems a little, and if I go too long like that, not getting like refilled, or like your iPhone can only last so long before, being plugged in. And so it's this, how, if my relationship with the Lord is healthy and strong, it's much easier throughout the days. And I don't think about it that much. If I am not regularly in my word and like being consistent about praying, and then instead of, my free time doing some of that, I just turn on Netflix to like kind of just like, veg out and not think about anything. I can see now, that's one of the cool things about getting older, is that you can identify quicker when you start to drift. And I know myself now enough to be like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get irritated a lot easier. Yeah. Why did I respond in that way to that person? And then I'm like, okay, I'm clearly like, need to like go spend some time in the word, to spend time in praying, because I'm starting to react in the flesh more than the spirit. So I'd say your relationship first and foremost, learn it, like be somebody that celebrates others.
Yeah, that's
like
good.
It really is, as much as like, I wish I was, married and then my kids and this and that, like celebrate all of the things. It's so much better to be somebody that celebrates people. Yeah. And like, it doesn't have to be fake. It's not a fake. Absolutely. There's a difference between the people that do that fake and not. Just always be somebody that like, man, I want to be a light in this world, and let's celebrate the joys of the Lord and the blessings that he's giving, because he's blessed me in a million different ways. And like, and that he's doing that in your life there. And you might have one thing that I might desire and want, and then you don't have all these things that I have over here. Absolutely. And so there is that, again, being very cognizant and aware of like not to compare, because we all have stuff in our lives. Absolutely. That nobody has it perfect. It's not easy. It's not heaven yet. And so just understanding that. And so I try and, again, just, be somebody that like celebrates others. And then I'm trying to think of anything else. Honestly, too, the people that you're around, the people that you spend your most time with. So this, whether you're a believer or not. I heard somebody talking about it just on some talk or something that's not a Christian anything as far as that realm of it, but was just like, hey, there's a point in your 20s where you will feel alone. And he was talking specifically about, he's like, hey, if you like want to be better in life, if you're like, hey, the way that I've been living the past couple years, it's just not it. Yeah. I've either been like frozen in fear, not doing anything and just staying, or I'm just living the life I always have. And you know what? I want to be better. That might mean that, hey, I'm not going to drink anymore. And then guess what? If you're not going to drink anymore, then that group of friends that you've probably built up over the years, that's what they've built their whole weekends around. And then like, hey, you know, Friday night, it's all planned around that. So then guess what? Now that you're not drinking, you probably don't want to stay out till 2 a.m. anymore with them, because it's not as fun as it used to be if you're not. And then guess what? You want to be better and get better in these areas. Then I want to wake up early and actually go to the gym, so I don't want to go out all night. So there's going to be natural tensions of, if you want to be better in anything in life and you haven't been living the way that you want to, it has a lot to do with the people that you're around and your patterns and rhythms of life. So whether you're a believer or not, you need to evaluate what, again, that purpose that you want overall, like the big picture thing here. Where are you at now? Okay, I haven't been living that way. It's not too late. You just have to start. Make one small decision. This is what I'm going to do. If the people, you might be surprised, some of the people with you would be like, yes, I've been wanting to do that too. Like, let's do it together. And if they're like anti it and they just think like, oh, you're not one of the boys anymore, hanging out anymore, then like, it might be time to walk away. And it doesn't mean you don't love them and they're there for a season or this or that. But like, if you want to be better in life, it doesn't mean that they're not whatever. It's fine. It's just different stages of life.
Absolutely.
And that's a hard part of the 20s too, of a lot of people that just want to live the way they always have. And then people that are over it and like, my body doesn't feel good doing this anymore. Just like the basic necessities of just life of getting older. You're like, I need to take care of myself better. Also, I want to meet the right person. I want to meet a man or a woman that like isn't going out all night and doing these things that I don't want to do anymore. And so there's sometimes going to be times where you feel alone because you've made the decision that you are going to get better in an area of your life, and know that that's normal. I think that's one of those things that like, you can be like, what, I'm just messed up a lot and all these things, and I'm the only one struggling right now. But just know it's a weird thing to be comforted by, but like, that's normal to feel alone, because everybody's moving. There's transitions. Some people might be getting married. Some people might be moving home, and all of those people are feeling alone in different ways. You just don't know it.
For sure.
So,
and we're not talking about it.
Yes. Not talking about it, those things. And then also just hurt feelings of growing up and different stuff. And it's okay. Just realize like relationships ebb and flow. Right? Where doesn't mean you just have to cut them off and all that, but your friendship might just look differently.
Absolutely. You know? Yeah. So. And I think with social media too, it's like everyone is going to put the best version of themselves online. And so what it looks like is, oh my gosh, this person just got engaged. Oh my gosh, this person's moving. Oh, they just got a new job. And it's like, those are the highlights of everyone's life. We aren't actually seeing, unless we're like talking with them every day, we're not seeing the low points of their life. We're not seeing when they're alone and struggling and the things that they're struggling with behind the scenes. And so I think it's so easy to compare. But I want to go back and talk about like, when you talked about celebrating others, I think the only way that we're able to celebrate others is if we're confident in ourselves and our purpose. And if we're not, we're just going to spiral into this spiral of, well, I don't have this and I don't have that, because there's been so many times people have told me that like, oh, Lexia, you have this that I wish I would have. You have this that I wish I would have had. And I think a lot of that, I've been reading a lot about gratitude recently, and how we can't be sad, mad, upset, mean, whatever, if we have gratitude. And I think just having gratitude for like what we do have in our life right now is a big thing of like, we're not going to be able to compare and spiral to others when we have gratitude for what we already have.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's one of the ways to be able to do that. And also just this, again, like Philippians 4:6-7 would be a lot of that, even guiding and directing, like gratefulness, being grateful for the things, and then also meditating on those things, and then guiding into prayer, like, and praying for others, praying, like, if you are a prayer and you spend time praying, or it's something that you might struggle with and you're like, it's not natural to me, I don't know how. Philippians 4:6-7 is a great, like, just look at that and see, like, start with gratefulness and gratitude to the Lord and all that he's done and the blessings, and then into these things of like how to, and then the peace of God that transcends all understanding will guard your heart and mind, which is interesting to think about in there, of, again, guarding your heart and mind of the things you're struggling with and you hang on to. We're doing a study in Ephesians right now with some of the teams, and we're looking at like some of the praying. And one of those things is that if you just did your list of things you're thankful for, there was a quote that I was reading from a book where it was like, if you, what you're grateful for, shows you what you value. Okay. And then what you pray for shows you what you desire.
I like that.
So it's a really interesting, it's also, cause again, you can evaluate like, what am I grateful for? Is it all just like earthly things that don't actually matter? Or, so and then it can start to shift like, wait, what do I really value? Like, and it's these type of like family or this, or some people that, family can be great and you can struggle with them too, but man, I love them. And but then praying, like, what am I praying? Am I always just praying for what I want? Do I ever pray for anybody else? And that's one of those things of, as I start to pray for other people, it's easier to celebrate them too. That's true. And then it builds and deepens your relationships when you talk about just friendships and things like that too, of like even knowing what to pray for other people. And usually when you can pray deeper for people, it's if like, I know, like, oh, what decisions are coming up, what things you are struggling with, so I can pray for you. And then it, that gives me a greater peace, which talks about in that verse I was saying earlier. And then also it's easier to celebrate than when you're like, oh, these things like are great, you know, and like, we've been praying for that. Let's celebrate it.
I love that.
But with that, as far as making decisions, on purpose, for purpose, okay? Even like feeling like if you're called to something, right? We talked a little bit about this, but I just wanted like a couple of things that hopefully will be practical for people making decisions. So to help be like, this was just something that there's a sermon that I heard probably 10 years ago now, that kind of talked about this and like how hard it is to make decisions right now. So there's kind of 4 things that he just kind of hit on, and this is the context if you follow the Lord. And when I'm like guiding people will often ask me like, what should I do? Or like, and you're like,
for sure.
That's a common question I'll get. Because, and so, depending who I'm with, like I'll know like there's a greater confidence in the decision they're going to make if they like kind of have these things in, and it's the basics. And I know it's going to sound so dumb, but I'm like, we just have to be reminded of these things. It's not some crazy equation. It's just, so if my purpose is for me to serve the kingdom of God, with all the gifts, talents, blessings that he's given me. And so if I'm good with people, if I can, if I'm good at these different skill sets that he's giving me, how do I use those for his kingdom? That's my mindset. So, first is that like if I'm seeking the Lord as a whole, seeking the Lord with all my heart, mind, soul, and strength, which is what it tells us to do, seeking him in the word of God. So if I'm regularly in my Bible, okay, seeking him. Number 2, if I am regularly seeking him in prayer, asking him for wisdom and discernment of like, Lord, which way is the best path and which is the wisest? Like both might not be wrong, but Lord, like what would be, give me wisdom and discernment. So seeking the Lord in the word, seeking him, praying. and then seeking godly counsel from wise people. And again, I say godly counsel of those that are believers that are living their life following the Lord.
Yeah.
And I also don't recommend getting like more than 3 of those because everybody will have a different opinion.
For sure.
And it can get more confusing.
Yeah.
And so it's not just going around asking people till I get the answer that I want, you know?
That's good. Yeah.
So, and then if I like sat down with you and I know you're in the Word, like you're doing the best you can, you know, miss a couple days here or there is fine, but like in the Word, you're praying regularly, asking for wisdom, you have godly counsel around you. The 4th thing is just making a decision.
That's good.
And just trusting that like he's gonna use it for his good, for his glory. Because if he knows my heart and my mind and I want to seek him, I want to grow, I want to do these things. It is that 4th one scary because it can be it's literally make a decision.
Yeah.
And again, not getting stuck and frozen in a particularly comfortable area. And trusting then that like God's got it. Like, but if you are doing those 3 things, I'm telling you, like from like experience in my own life and watching other people, those are the things that the people to me that I've watched, especially after seeing that sermon and then watching over the last like 10 years, the people that are doing those things usually make really solid, sound, like wise decisions. It's not always the safest decision.
Yeah.
But like you can watch their life and see that their decision making is really solid.
And they're probably confident about it too.
100%.
Yeah. No, I love all of that. Kind of wrapping up all that we've talked about. We mentioned you work with FCA and just a lot of people in college and in their 20s. What do you see as like the biggest thing that maybe keeps someone from fulfilling their purpose?
I would say fear.
Yeah.
Fear of disappointing others.
That's good. Yeah.
Fear of going after a big dream and not getting it. The fear of the thought of failure.
Yeah.
Fear of maybe leaving some relationships behind. Fear of like, and what I've seen a lot of like the fear of like going all in with Jesus.
Yeah.
Because it does mean that you're going to have to give some things up.
For sure.
And it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's the best life.
Yeah.
It's the fullest life. But
absolutely.
It's scary.
Yeah.
And I would encourage anyone that like, again, wherever you are in the spectrum of, again, following the Lord, I mean, you mentioned it earlier of kind of being in the middle of kind of like following it. And I was in the same spot for a long time. And I would encourage you to pick one and go all in.
Yeah.
Go all into whatever you pick because like, man, if you're in that middle and you're like, got a foot over here with the Lord.
Yeah.
And you're going on Sundays and you're kind of like, okay, we're good. But then I still have a foot over here. I can't fully enjoy the Lord and all that he has for me and what he desires for me and knowing what's best for me. But then on the same thing, if I got a foot over here on Sundays with the Lord over here, but then I've got a foot over here kind of in some stuff I shouldn't be in or some sin over here, I can't fully enjoy that either. Yeah. Because I know like the Lord's like the Lord never returns void, man. Like going to like hearing the word of God, going to church, like you're not going to be able to fully enjoy it. And so honestly, I think it is better for you if you're like, hey, I don't want you to go, jump fully into sin.
Yeah.
But being in the middle is a really hard place to be. And I would just encourage you, the more that you can just jump fully into following the Lord and trusting him. It's hard, especially if we have stuff that we kind of have to peel off a little bit to get to like, behind. And leave it behind. But I would just say fear is it's so multifaceted.
For sure.
Of what that fear could be for different people.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it is fear of disappointing people. A family that wants you to go into this job or, going into FCA that's fully funded and I have to raise money. Like those things of like the fear of like, I don't even understand how this happens, but like, I believe that you're calling me to it. And so I'm going to trust. And so I could have not, and I could have gone a different route. And I believe that the Lord would have taken care of it and got me here eventually. But I would say fear.
For sure.
And so like, man, yeah, the only way that I know to get rid of fear, and I don't live in it anymore, and I used to, is just because of the Lord.
Yeah.
Like it really is. There's freedom in it, and it's so counter, like you know, people think it'll hold you down, or there will be chains, or you're just a lot more rules and all these things. It's the opposite. It breaks chains. You're so much freer. You don't care about pleasing everybody. I'm just concerned about pleasing the Lord and serving other people and loving other people, celebrating people.
Absolutely.
And just like the joy of the Lord, man, like you can't get it any other way. And so,
yeah. Absolutely. My whole kind of like life verse for this podcast and like this year too has been Galatians 1:10 and just like not worrying about pleasing people and like you said, still serving and loving people. Like that's what we're called to do. Yeah. But ultimately, like, are my actions pleasing to God? Yeah. And just kind of living that out and figuring that out. But yeah, literally,
it's a journey.
It is.
It's a good thing.
It is for sure.
Yeah.
But seriously, thank you so much.
Thanks
like
for
this
me.
just blew me away and was everything that I was praying for and like wanting for this type of topic. And so thank you so much for just your wisdom and your guidance and your mentorship. And yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Praying for you guys and just grateful for what you're able to do on here. And
thank you.
Love the people you've had on already. And some of them I know and love dearly.
I
so,
know. It's been sweet.
Love you and just praying for you too in the future. And God's got it.
Thank you. So, I appreciate it. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's good.
For sure.
It's all the scary exciting.
Yes,
it's
exactly. Good. But yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you.
Ephesians 3:20. He can do immeasurably more than we can even ask or think.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. Well, awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening or watching this episode. For more content, you can check out the 20 Effect podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And I just want you to remember that no matter what you're going through, we're in this together. Bye, y'all.